Hello, this is James Iha, and we're going to take a minute or two of your time to talk about my new record, Let It Come Down. I guess it's unexpected because a lot of people, they, uh, they have this image of me, I guess, in the Pumpkins kind of being this edgy alternative rocker. It's not really about that. It's, most of the interviews just, they either don't hear me speak or they hear me make some obtuse comments. So I guess what was really important for me on this record is to it's not to smash their preconceptions, but to just to make a valid record just of music and not really hype it up as that guy from the Smashing Pumpkins, although it's kind of inevitable. I really worked hard on one, the songs, and two, the singing, and kind of everything else, the arrangements and the sound of the record is just is all there to support the songs and the singing. For people to take me seriously, I thought it was really necessary to have those two things. I wrote most of the album on the acoustic guitar. My rule was to have, if the song could stand up with just voice and a guitar, it was probably pretty good. And I didn't make an unplugged record, but I also wanted it to be the foundation to be there before I even started. And just the very nature of the songs, I just didn't think they required anything I guess current alternative trends heavy distorted guitar and loud rock drums and anything electronic beats in there. And it was just the way I heard things. I just thought it was kind of an extension of where I wrote it. Just strings, harmonies, pedal steel guitar, acoustic guitar, electric guitar. It all just sounded really good to me. I recorded the record in my basement, and it was a really very homey, really good vibe situation. And if Matt Walker, who played the drums on it, if he were just working on the drum take a little bit, I would go upstairs and have a cup of tea or watch the television for a couple minutes or just sit at the kitchen table. There are a lot of things about my house that just sort of kind of translated. I paid my roommate to become a chef for the record, so it's we had home cooked meals almost every night. And I don't know, it's kind of when you're in the studio, you become this deranged subterranean creature who never sees the light of day. And it was just really great to feel at home with everything. And the piano is in my living room, and whenever you'd record piano, you'd hear birds or dogs barking, so you'd have to, which was just kind of annoying sometimes, but it was, every now and then, if you really listen in the background, there's birds in the background just chirping away. There are just some really nice kind of memories that kind of, or just feeling that kind of carried over from being in the house to just going downstairs and recording. And more importantly, there was just no pressure. There was no huge $1,000 a day studio bills to pay every day. It was just my house. The sound of the record is something I've been, hearing for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's not that people don't make this kind of record, but I guess just the tone of it. It has kind of a couple things. It has kind of a conversational, warm kind of character intimate character to it, and it has some really simple, beautiful like arrangements as far as the music is, and it gets kind of epic in a way too. So it kind of goes between the two, and there's some nice ballads on there, I guess, too. Yeah. I guess it is. It is kind of a romantic record, and I write a lot of these songs. Like the main idea, like musically and lyrically, it just kind of comes out at once. And I guess I was just really in that romantic conversational mood for a lot of the writing in this record, and it just kind of came out of like an album full of love songs. The record title kind of means two things to me. One, it's kind of like a cathartic release, kind of like the weather, like when rain or snow or some sort of element has been building up and it just kind of comes down. And I guess it's also about people's preconceptions about what my record would be like. It's, you know, I guess it's about it coming down to a more simple, kind of honest sound, and nothing really to hide any of the songs or any of the lyrics. I really wanted the record to be like have just have song power more so than like any sort of band vibe. I kind of chose the singer-songwriter route because it's like I guess like something I feel really close to and natural to, and I just didn't really feel like forming a band of like you know three other guys and me just like hitting the road with these songs. I just felt it would really kind of ruin the kind of intimate quality of a lot of these songs. I like all kinds of different kinds of music, but I've just been drawn to over the years like some singer-songwriters like Neil Young and Robbie Robertson and people like that. I didn't want to make like a retro record of like here's how Cinnamon Girl goes and here's my rewrite of Cinnamon Girl. One, I don't really know how to really. I've never sat down and figured out all those people's songs, and it that doesn't really interest me. I mean, anybody can buy bell bottoms. I was more just inspired by the quality of the songwriting, the sound of the records, and like and their voices, the way they arranged things and sung things back then. They just all those records have like a timeless quality to me, and if there was anything I was trying to emulate, it was a timeless quality to my songs. And I tried to have a high standard for my writing. I'm a fan of all their music, so like when I listen to it, I don't think, oh, that's a G minor chord that Neal went to. I just think, oh, that's such a beautiful song. I always think songs are going to be there, and they're always going to be good songwriters. I guess popular music just kind of goes in ups and downs, and I think there are some really good songwriters. Like I think Noel Gallagher from Oasis is pretty good, and smaller bands like Whiskey Town. I have nothing negative to say. I'm all about love. I met Jim Scott, my producer, through our A&R guy who signed the Pumpkins, and he signed Whiskey Town, and he was just someone I called to ask for advice for a producer, and Jim's great. He's a really great guy, and he was really enthusiastic about the songs and kind of what I was going for, and he's just really like he gets really great sounds, and he's really quick, and generally he just pushed me, for like better performances, and kind of basically realizing all the songs and the arrangements that I had. We just basically made the record with like my friends and a few of his friends, and it just seemed like everybody had the right intentions. Well, the only person I'd really ask for their opinion was me, so it wasn't really like a group consensus on anything. It was just like, well, there it is. It's like either like it or I don't like it. And in some ways it was a lot easier because I was just focused on, I was the only person really to like guide everything. And it was great in that respect that I didn't have to be democratic about it. But in another way, it was also like there was a different kind of pressure of just having to write, arrange, and sing a whole record myself without anybody. And it tested my limits as this may sound pretentious, as a person in general, because it was like 6 days a week, 11, 12 hours a day, just of like James. I just basically invested a lot of money in my basement, and I would probably spend about the same amount in a studio, but the difference is, I get to keep the equipment, and the studio is always there. So, yeah, it made me happy in that respect. And it's funny, Jim said that more so than any artist he's ever worked with, my house kind of looks like my music, or the way I am, and the way my house is very reflective of my music. I don't know, it's like a nice but relatively humble house, but it's really pretty, and it's like an arts and crafts house that's like has all original stained glass windows and has really nice oak floors, and there's like all the furniture I have is just sort of like, it's kind of the period, but it's kind of like all the colors are muted, and it all has a really nice homey feel to it. Just when you're in the studio, it's just like, you're looking at like bad wood paneling and like shag rug carpets, and the same studio people every day. And yeah, it was just nice being at home. That song is probably like the most upbeat kind of pop song I've written. I really like the melodies, and it just, as far as the recording, it just had this sort of loose, kind of jammy feel to it. And it was about the closest thing I had to like kind of a band sound on the record, but it was kind of more like a, kind of like a Faces kind of jammy feel to it. I don't know. We had this kind of great happy accident when we were mixing the song. We just put up the tape, and there were all these different guitar parts. One played by me, one played by Greg, one played by Neal, and we weren't going to really keep all of them. And there was just this great sound of like, it sounds like the band's warming up, and all these sort of like half-played guitar licks and rhythm things, and just the sound of the percussion like right before like the song starts. It just had this great like band feel. So I think it all really had like the spirit of the song, all those kind of things, and it's nice to have that on the record, I think. Lover Lover is kind of an older song, and it's like a song where I kind of sing in the lower register of my voice, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, quasi-acoustic, religious, romantic song. And I don't know. It has this great sort of epic quality in my mind. I don't know. It just kind of lurches along into like in this sort of like a desperate romantic way. Um, Sue me. I'm sensitive. No. um, yeah, I don't know. You know, whatever the different types of things I've written about, I guess I just feel like that in a relationship, and I was just in a relationship when I wrote a lot of this record, and you know, it tended to be a really good one, you know, most of the time, and I don't know, it's like every relationship you have, you always think, oh, I really want to make this one last, and I don't want anything to fall apart, at least I do, and that's kind of how some of those feelings came out, those protective, romantic, idealistic feelings came out, and it's kind of like the record has like, kind of like, it's more of like an adult relationship oriented kind of love record, and then there's also like the sort of the naive love songs, the idealistic songs, and you know, I always just sort of had the sound of the chord progressions and the melodies in mind when I wrote most of the lyrics. I always liked bands that had good songs, and I remember I bought the first Pretenders record. I mean, I thought that was pretty great. And, well, I guess before that, my brother always used to have classic American 70s rock on, you know, or, you know, what Americans were listening to in the 70s, like Bruce Springsteen and Zeppelin and, you know, I don't know, your typical 70s rock fare. And I don't know, I got into new wave, and I liked the Pretenders and the Clash, and then I guess in high school I was listening to like the Smiths and REM, and then I got into like heavier music, kind of right when we were getting into, when the Pumpkins were starting, you know, we were listening to things like My Bloody Valentine and Dinosaur Jr. And you know, after a while I started going back and sort of rediscovering classic Stones period, like 68 to 72, and like the Beatles and Neil Young. And you know, the older I get, the more I'm drawn to like stories and singers, and you know, kind of like standards, classic standards. They just seem to have that timeless quality that you can listen to again. They don't really have that fluffy sound. There's just as much pop influence on my record, like the harmonies and the melodies. You know, they're very poppy, and some of them aren't, you know, so rootsy. Most of the harmonies are sung by Neal Casal, who he's a friend of Jim, my producer's, and he's a really great singer-songwriter. And Jim, my producer's, done a record with him before, and he just thought, oh man, his voice sounds kind of like your voice. I bet he would sing really good harmony with you. And we just flew him out for a couple days, and he just, you know, we just played him all the tracks and just had him try to, you know, sing harmony, and it just sounded great. Yeah, I mean, Matt Walker played in the Pumpkins, and his brother Sal played bass on a lot of the songs, and Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne, he played a lot of piano and organ on my record, and from Jim's side there was Neal Casal, Greg Leese, who he plays pedal steel and guitar, and he plays in he records and he tours with Katie Lang a lot, and he's really great. He's like he could have been in like Phil Spector's Wrecking Crew. There's also this other organ player, John Ginty, who played in Jules' touring band, and yeah, he's really good too. I'm probably not going to do a full-blown, you know, around the world rock tour. But I'll probably more than likely do like a lot of promo, like, you know, face-to-face interview stuff, and I'll probably do like radio shows, or you know, just like a very like a small club or a small bar kind of show. And I guess in the beginning it'll probably be me and Neal Casal, and he'll just sing harmony and play guitar, and we'll just be like this acoustic duo. And you know, I don't know, if things pick up, you know, maybe I'll put the band together. I hope, you know, obviously as many people as possible can hear the record and like it. But you know, it does sort of have that adult-oriented sound to it. And this cute little story is that when I had Nina Gordon from Veruca Salt come over and sing some harmonies and backups on my record, I played her some of the other songs, and she was like, "Oh, this kind of sounds like a record my parents listened to." So, so I don't know, you know, it just has that laid back, warm, you know, 70s groove every now and then, and you know, I don't think it's a retro record, but it has touches of that, and I guess I don't know, maybe more adult people would like it more than some teeny boppers. The Pumpkins are like, you know, my life. I've been in the band for like 10 years, and it's, you know, very much a part of me. It's just you know, this record is a really personal record of mine, and it really is like, you know, I don't know, autobiographical in a way. It's just a different side of me, and it's a real side to me, but it doesn't mean I can't, like, you know, I don't know, plug in a fuzz box every now and then. It just didn't seem right for this record at all. I don't know, it's just like I like all different kinds of music. It doesn't really bother me to play one kind or the other. It's, you know, it's not like, you know, like I'm a singer-songwriter by day and a hip-hop artist by night. It doesn't seem that far of a leap in my mind.